For you to understand this, you have to understand how your brain works. And you have to understand how we respond to emotional experiences in our life. The first part of the brain that you have to understand is the amygdala. The amygdala is part of the limbic system. That's the primary brain, the primitive brain, one of the oldest parts of the brain that does automated reactions. Your amygdala is in charge of your emotions. The amygdala is an action system. It is not a thought system. Then whenever the amygdala is impacted, there is some action. The amygdala is in charge of reading and producing non-verbal emotional expressions when under stress. So let me put it this way. Every person, when they become emotional, does things with their face, hands, posture, gestures, and the tone of their voice. And they'll do it automatically. For example, most of you, when you were little kids, the first time you got pissed off, you made a face. Even as a baby, you made some kind of face that showed the world what? That you're pissed off. Did your mother sit you down and tell you how to make a pissed off face? No, it was chemical. It happened. The chemistry in your brain says this, you were feeling pissed off, and the amygdala took over the face to show the emotion. When you're really happy, it takes over your face to show the emotion. It takes over your gestures. That's why people are pissed off. Make more gestures. When people are happy, they make more gestures. It takes over your posture. It takes over your voice tone. That's why many people elevate in voice tone when they get upset. Well, we know this. When you're calm, you're in full control of your face, your hands, your posture, your gesture. But when you get upset, the amygdala takes that over. That means people who are more upset all the time have facial expressions, body postures, gestures that show the world how they are feeling. The amygdala is also the pharmacist of the brain. Whenever you have an emotional crisis, it is the amygdala that takes over the response, puts it in your blood system so you act. Your amygdala has three natural values, three drives: the need to feel safe, the need to feel loved, and the need to be successful. Out of these three values, one of them seems to be more universal than the other. We found out that people have sociopathic tendencies, or sociopaths, don't have the desire to feel love because they don't have desire to build relationship. We found people who are psychopaths don't feel fear, so they don't have to feel safe. But the drive for every person that still stays is the need to be successful. So you're telling me a good sociopath and psychopath wants to be a good sociopath and psychopath? Yeah, they want to be as most successful as possible. Your amygdala is in charge of your emotional memories. It stores your emotional memories. So the best of things that ever happened to you and the worst things that ever happened to you are in your amygdala. Your amygdala holds your values and your beliefs. That means your values and beliefs all come out of emotions, not cognitive process. The amygdala is alerted to differences because anything that's different can harm you. But one of the things that makes the amygdala calm down is to find out that we have something in common with each other. On the other side of the equation is your prefrontal cortex, the most evolved, latest evolved part of the human brain. It's in charge of logic, functioning, good decision making, all that great stuff. Our cortex has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and more effective and more profound and has evolved. We have the most advanced cortex in the world compared to any other creature. Our cortex grew because of two things. The first thing that allowed the cortex to have a big explosion was civilization. When man got into clans and clans started creating rules and daily life became predictable, guess what? The amygdala was always alert to keep us alive. Guess what? It got offline and our cortex, boom, growth. The other growth of the cortex happened with the introduction of language, formal learning. That seemed to have another big growth to the cortex because learning really helps the brain grow and do better. And those two things now makes us have the most advanced cortex of any other creature. And one of the jobs of our cortex is to do this, to exercise control over our amygdala, our emotions, our impulses. So you get a new job. Your new supervisor comes in and changes a bunch of stuff. You get kind of pissed off. Your amygdala might say, slap her. But your cortex is strong enough to keep you under control and says, not a good idea. You need the job. You need the money. Calm down. However, although we have the most advanced cortex than any other creature on the face of the earth, and our amygdala is small in comparison, it still has clout. You see, when we get emotionally overwhelmed, our amygdala secretes a hormone that temporarily cuts off interference from the cortex so it can create an action. What will the amygdala base our actions on? Well, currently, it's the best of things and the worst of things. But it's not equable, is it? Let's say this person grew up in a household where they didn't experience trauma. They had so many good experiences and values are in their amygdala. The worst thing they ever saw is occasionally their mom and dad argued a little loud voice. This other person has been exposed to some of the most heinous traumas and abuse and neglect that anyone has ever seen. Both of these people are in front of me, and I stress them both. Their cortex gets cut off. Their amygdalas react. But this person in their amygdalas, guess what? They have values and they have behaviors that were taught from good experiences that still mitigates their emotional response, and probably the worst I see from them is some attitude. But this person who's seen some of the ugliest things demonstrates the ugliest things they've ever seen. This starts to explain to us why. This started to explain to us why we have to get new behaviors into the amygdala. The other thing we found out is that people who've been traumatized over and over again get a hypersensitive amygdala that tends to overreact quickly and even misinterpret benign help as aggression. As a result, until we get people more chemically balanced, their chances of doing better is lower.